LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 for this Sunday night. I'm Gav. This is the LFC Daytrippers, by the way. We have Seany and we have Emmet, so we've gone three at the back. I'm going to be honest with you. Keith went out on an impromptu fucking session and said, I'm on an impromptu session, and I went, you stay where you are. Don't be worrying about anything at 10 o'clock. So Keith's off doing that. Before anybody fucking claims that, Seany won't talk to him anymore because of Wednesday night, which was hilarious. The amount of people going, Jesus, they must hate each other. Couldn't be further from the truth, but I just wanted to put it out there. Show is brought to you by bookmakers.com. Check them out for analysis, stats, articles, and if you gamble, do so responsibly, and you can get all the odds from all the bookies there on all the sports, including the Premier League title race, which took another twist today. Look, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Jude Bellingham, Jurgen Klopp, press conferences, embargo sections. Ryan Gravenberch has been on the radar. There's a couple more as well, so we're going to lash through it in the next hour or so. You're in the chat, hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and give us all the feedback you can where we're talking through these bits. But before we start, yesterday marked the 34th anniversary of Hillsborough, and as a podcast we never broadcast on the day of Hillsborough, and yesterday was no different. It's a time for a little bit for reflection and stuff like that, and thinking of the people involved in that day in 1989. So before we move on, we wanted to just mark that on the podcast and send out our thoughts to the people that lost their lives on that day, their families, friends, people that survived, and people that have fought a good cause since that time and continue to do so to this day. So we wanted to mark the start of the podcast with that. There was no other way to start it, to be honest with you. So our thoughts and prayers are with everybody involved around Hillsborough, because 34 years is a long time. A lot happens in 34 years, but it still makes that day no easier every time it comes around. And I'd like to commend actually a lot of football clubs who had minute silences, and they were impeccable at football ground yesterday. Football clubs who turned up at Anfield with wreaths and laid them there and had a quiet moment at the Hillsborough Memorial. So overall, as much as a sad thing that it is every year, there was a lot of really good, classy things that were done by football clubs, individuals, and everything else yesterday to mark their anniversary. So we wanted to start with that. Seany, we had an interesting chat on Wednesday night. It nearly stopped the internet, but it didn't. The internet rolls on. And since then, we've had a press conference from Jurgen Klopp. We've had an embargo section, which everyone seemed to know what was going on before the embargo came out. Some interesting stuff in both of those. Has it made anything any clearer for you? Are you still kind of bewildered? Have you changed on anything? Have you kind of gone, oh, that's a bit interesting? Has anything come up in a way you thought, oh, there's something here, there's something going on? Or are you just like, nah, they're just a shower of pricks?
Just as well that show wasn't on Bleeding Tuesday, Gav, because I'd be like bleeding Jack Nicholson and one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Someone had had me up on Lomans already after claiming the €80 at me. No, Gav, it's what Sunday now, and it came out on Tuesday. Like I've had different conversations in different WhatsApp groups with different people who have some different rationale and hear different opinions. And I think the thing across the board was, it doesn't really make sense. It's not making sense that anyone sort of what's going on in with the Bellingham thing now. Klopp kind of, I won't say put the kibosh on it, but I was a little bit annoyed by his 600 million players and the Ferrari thing, because I don't think anyone in their right mind was asking for something like 600 million players. I think the logic not spending all your money on Bellingham in the window is one that's understandable, but the timing for me makes absolutely no sense, because we're in a bit of a rut at the moment in terms of results and where we sit in the league. If you're coming out saying you're not interested in this player, you're letting everyone else know you have a wad of cash to spend. It's just, it was mad for me that the same day we are reported to have put in a bid is the same day that we pull out. It would suggest it might be a game of poker, but with time passing and the more you read from sort of the German side, it looks like that Liverpool and maybe everybody are being potentially priced out of this move for Bellingham, because the reports now is that Dortmund are looking for somewhere between 150 million and 160 million euros for Bellingham, and I think that for most clubs is probably not unreachable, but I don't even think City could finance that deal with it being 160 million. It's quite different to the Haaland deal, where you're only really playing a lowish buyout and you can pay him wherever you want in wages, but they can disguise that however they want. I think if it's 160 million transfer, it's big money. I think barring Neymar, that's probably going to be the biggest transfer fee of all time. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's just the timing of it is rough. It's more frustrating than anything else that it did seem to be that we kind of put this season off for Bellingham, and now we're sort of being priced out. There's talks now he might stay. So it's hard to know.
Do you think
the longer it goes on now, not that I don't care.
Do you think he refused to answer the thing on Bellingham? Because you were talking about the Ferrari quote, where he says, people want Ferraris and I think his quote was 6 £100 million players. Now, no one's suggesting Liverpool should spend £600 million on 6 players in midfield, right? But the start of that quote is, this is not about Jude Bellingham. That was his words. Yeah. Now, you can take that as, listen, this isn't about Jude Bellingham. Like, this isn't the Jude Bellingham, the person, I don't want them. Or him saying, hold on, this isn't about Jude Bellingham. It's over here. You're looking for everything else to be done. Now, it depends what camp you sit in, I suppose, where you want to read them words. But did that interest you at all? Because I thought, hold on, you're asked. He was more or less asked about Jude Bellingham and wouldn't answer, and then went on about 6 £100 million players, which is a bit of nonsense. Like 6 100, it's madness. Like,
yeah, like it was it's pure hyperbole by Klopp. But look, that being said, Klopp has lied in the past, in regarding stuff, and it's just the way it is. You can't deny that was a brief to at least Paul Joyce that Liverpool weren't going to. Look, it's quite obvious that I think it's if Bellingham, we'll put it this way, right? This is probably the last thing I'll say in terms of it actually happening. If Bellingham does leave in the summer, right, and he goes somewhere for example, right, Bellingham signs for Madrid for 160 million, then you're going, right, fair enough. It's clear now why we're not there. Of course, it's frustrating that you might go and play somewhere, but if you see Bellingham going for 120 million euros, I'd be majorly disappointed that it's not the Liverpool FC, because I think that's doable for us. I think 120 million is doable for us, and that's not like at the expense of another signing maybe coming in. We've put this off, but if he does sign for someone in the region of 150 million, 160 million euros, look, I said last week, and it was probably harsh, and it was probably me being emotional, which is not like me, to be fair. It's like it's not that we're not a serious club. It's just we're never going to be at the table for them type of deals. The only ones who's at the table normally for those type of deals are your Real Madrids, are your Barcelonas, are your Man Cities, and even Manchester United have done stupid deals in the past. I think if it's 150 million euro, 160 million, it's just it's not how we operate. It's not our model. I think 120 million would be stretching it, but something that we could definitely do. But if push comes to shove, Gav, and in August at the end of the window, Dortmund are trying to flog him because they've ran the bollocks out of this young fella. He's played a stupid amount of football for a 19-year-old. They definitely see this as an opportunity to sell him at max capacity and have confidence in that system to replace him. Because Dortmund ever want to be in the Champions League and kind of run Bayern Munich close. It's not their MO to be winning Bundesliga titles. Their MO at the moment is to be identifying top quality talent around the world, bringing them in for like Moneyball to the highest capacity.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're looking to do with Bellingham. I don't know. Look, let's see. Like I said, I had more questions than answer at the Klopp's presser, which is sort of unusual for Klopp because he normally has this funny way of being able to kind of put himself away from things. But I will say one thing. I thought anyone starting rumours of Klopp flipping the head and losing it in the embargo section are fucking idiots, because that was tame compared to some of the other stuff we've seen from Jurgen Klopp.
It really was. And Emmet, Kev says here, one interesting line: what Klopp knows and what Jonas writes are miles apart. Right? Now, I actually have what he said. He said, and some of the things you write are so far from the truth. Not that you want to lie, but you follow something you want to believe. All right? Where do you think that's a dig at? You see, he also claims that he hasn't read what's been written this week, which I don't believe for a fucking second, right? Like, genuinely, there's no way Klopp doesn't know what was being written this week, because he comes out with that quote, and what you write is way off the mark, and it's not that you want to lie, but it's just you want to jump on something you believe. That to me was interesting, because, and made even more so, I think, Emma, by saying, oh, well, I haven't read what's being written this week. Emma, he's only saying that because of what's being written this week. Do you read into that is that about Jude Bellingham, or is it just in general, you write stuff about this club and you actually haven't got a clue? Is it a dig, or is it because he skirts the Bellingham thing? Let's be honest about it.
Well, I think maybe it's a reason why he had to specify, because I think he said this is not about Jude Bellingham twice. And if you look at what was written afterwards, and even on Sky, they were reporting that he referred to it in relation to Jude Bellingham. But he was particular about saying this is not about Jude Bellingham. But that part of it is lost when people go and report on it. Liverpool compared buying Bellingham to a 5-year-old wanting a Ferrari and all this kind of stuff. He didn't, he said the Ferrari analogy, but he didn't refer it in relation to Bellingham. What I've taken from it, and then, I mean, this embargo thing is supposed to be running until 10:30 tonight, so we're not even supposed to know. So even the little clips that came out today about where he said that about you're going to write whatever you want, I don't think it's to do with Bellingham. He said in that thing there, he said that we're going to continue doing things the same way as we've always done them. We signed the most expensive centre-half when we needed to. We signed the most expensive goalkeeper. That was 2018.
Yeah, January 2018 and summer 2018.
Yeah, so with inflation and the way the market has gone, I think I saw somewhere that 75 million now is around about 100 million. If you believe what you've seen, and apparently we offered £84 million, that's not a million miles away from what we thought the original asking price was. So, which was around about 120 million euro.
Yeah, so it's probably about 20 million euros off.
Yeah. So and it was 84 million plus add-ons. So to me, what this screams of is, and I can't remember what it was that Keith said to get Seany off on him, but I'll just say it anyway. And if
I said Moises Soicedo, I know that. I definitely said Moises Soicedo on Wednesday, and it didn't end well.
To me, I think it's a tactic. When has anybody been in the race for so long, and then in April said, no, we're stepping back? To me, it was this leak of an offer, and then they immediately back out and say, no, we're going to cool on it. So what that does is it gives anybody else that we're going to be approaching the impression that we've only got about 84 million, right? Because we're going to be going after, if you believe what you read, again, you're going to be going after Mount, you could be going after Gravenberch was mentioned today. If you go in there and they think that you've got an endless pot of money, which, again, I think we've probably secured investment, but again, they're keeping their powder dry to try and get a bit of business out of the way. I think we're going to get some business out of the way, and then we're going to go back for Bellingham later on in the window once we've got everything done. Now, hang on.
Hold on.
No, hold on. I just want to say something. Keith was enraging me last week. You're making me horny now because there's logic behind this.
That's only the beard. That's all it is.
My kind of opinion on it is that it's forcing Dortmund's. I think it's kind of nearly forcing. You're pricing us out of this player. I think there's a lot of people would be of the opinion that he wants to come to Liverpool, right? So Liverpool put in a bid. They say no. We say, right, we're walking away. You've left with a player that wants to go to Liverpool, but they're walking away from the table. It kind of puts more pressure on Dortmund. Then you read today that he's open to staying at Dortmund for an additional year. So now, do you take 100 million this year or 80 million next year?
And Dortmund wouldn't surprise me if they took 80 million next year, because they see a lot of value in having him there for another year. You know, like Seany says, they're in the Champions League. He's a brilliant asset to have in the Champions League. Bayern Munich have just got a new manager, but they'll spend. So, you know, it is like playing second fiddle to them unless something mental happens. But I'll put it to both of you, and I'll stay with you, Emmet, and then Seany, right? We've heard rumour then that his representatives, i.e. his father, has looked for more money in this deal, and Dortmund have pushed the amount up accordingly. I don't know how true that is. I don't think it would be, because, you know, and I'll tell you why. If Jude Bellingham is willing to stay at Dortmund for another year because he doesn't want to leave and go to a club that he's not particularly interested in going to, I can't see a member of his family scuppering that by saying, I want more money. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think Jude Bellingham is going to allow his father to be the one that stops a move to Liverpool by insisting on more money. Now, having said that, that's if you go along with the whole story that, you know, money's not everything to them, and they're about legacy and they're about this. And in fairness, there is evidence of that from the time he left Birmingham to go to Dortmund. You know, the sort of way. And Jude Bellingham probably looks at a move to Liverpool as the next move in his career, not the last one. Because he could genuinely do 5 years at Liverpool, be 24, be worth 30% more than he's worth now, and move on to wherever he wants to go. So the talk of him staying there, Emmet, and we talked about this on Wednesday. You can go for Seany next. If there's any foundation to him willing to stay at Dortmund, is that Jude Bellingham saying, I'll just stay because I want to go there, and you won't meet there, you know, you're pricing it out a little bit. I'll stay for another year, and then they will be able to afford it, and they'll come back and get me. Do you think that could be something, or are we just all living in the bleeding clouds here?
Let's live in the fucking clouds. Fuck it. But I think that the two stories go hand in hand. We look again. If you believe Janag Fjorthoff, which he's normally kind of on the ball, we made the bid. We then walk away, and now there's a rumor that he's willing to stay. So why would you? So if you're saying this before there's any proposed bid from Real Madrid or even Man City, by the way, I don't see anybody paying 150 million for him. That's point. City need to keep their bid clean with all the charges that are coming. Why would you go there when you could be playing League 2 in 2 years' time, like when all of this is all sorted out? Seany, you're probably more into Spanish football than I would be. You're saying that Real Madrid are probably highly unlikely to go anywhere near paying that.
No, they won't. They've already distanced themselves.
I don't think he's waiting for Manchester United to be taken over. Why would you go there? Why would anybody go there? Anyway,
Laszlo reckons we're ignoring everything we've heard and just invent a scenario where he still joins Liverpool. No, I don't think we are. I think we're just trying to.
What have we heard? This is not about Jude Bellingham.
It's all a guessing game, and we don't ever pretend to know. We're just having a chat about what does this stuff mean.
Come here.
Nothing.
We've walked. Joyce has reported that we walked away from Alisson, Thiago, Van Dijk. I think he even reported that we walked away from Keita. We fucking should have. But there's been loads of scenarios where he's the one that announces this news, and then they go and sign for us anyway. Like, it's just unusual. Look, Chelsea cooled interest in Enzo Fernandez and went back at the end of the window to do it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just because we cool interest doesn't mean that it's over. And that's not me kind of being all sentimental about it or whatever. It's just, you don't put all of that time and effort into it for nearly 2 years, 18 months, 2 years, to make one offer and then just say, right, forget about it. And I get that we have to fill loads of other spots, but we've not, like somebody said the other, we've saved up all of our pocket money for this. You may look at why didn't we do anything big in January or last summer or even the January before. I know he's 45 on Diaz, Gakpo, Nunes, whatever. But it's like we've been gearing up for this all along. There's no way we didn't know what price he was going to be. We probably thought about 120, but then these have moved the goalposts now to 150. So everybody saying that, how did we not know he was going to be so expensive? They probably knew it was around about 120, but they're now looking for 150. That's moving the goalposts. And if it's going to be 150, or if anybody's going to pay, I'd prefer to get 3 players for 150 than 1 Jude Bellingham.
Yeah.
If that's where they're going to go, I'd go to 100 sterling. That's about it.
Yeah, it's Paul Gormley said some might come to start a fund to buy Bellingham. I think there's 50 quid in it at the minute. Yeah, I've seen that. A GoFundMe to get Bellingham, and it was like zero raised of 130 million euros. I love that sort of stuff. Fair play to them. Shawnee, look, we're looking at Klopp quotes and we're looking at embargo stuff, and we're trying to read between the lines as much as we can off the back of just what he's saying in reaction to what's being written, without even admitting it, because he says he doesn't read it. But then you look at the German side of things as well, and talk, will Bellingham stay? Why would he stay? People are saying, why would he stay? I'm convinced he moves this summer. I don't know where he goes, but I'm convinced he moves this summer. But you ask your question, why would he stay for another year? Is there anything in it for you where he feels he's being maybe priced out of a move he wants, and he's willing to wait that year to get that move he wants, rather than just go somewhere that could be a brilliant move, brilliant football club, loads of money, and just go, no, I'm not into that. Could there be anything in that from the German side, or do you think this is just more fucking shite that we're putting up with, and it could go on for another year? I hope it doesn't go on for another year, by the way.
I think the only one who loses out by Bellingham staying at Dortmund for another year is probably Borussia Dortmund, to be honest, in the big scheme, in the grand scheme of things. Because if I'm being honest with you, he's a phenomenal footballer. We're all very aware of his qualities and his ability. He's good there for now. I don't think he's under big pressure to have to move now. He could happily go and do 5 years at Liverpool and probably play for Madrid or however he desires afterwards, before he's even in his prime. So, I don't think the power is with either Dortmund or Liverpool here. I think the power is with the player, and I think that's probably what Liverpool are relying on here, with what they've tried. Now, what Emmet said there is something that kind of I never really thought of, that Liverpool were the envy of Europe and world football with how we operated as a football club, and that seemed to have deserted us of late, since Michael Edwards left. And an alarming thing for me is that Julian Ward was only in the job 4 months before he decided, all right, I'm out, I'm handing in my notice, and there's no real news of us appointing a director of football yet, because we know so little about it. So it's hard to know who's making the calls. But if it drags on, I'm not 100% with you in terms of you say that I think he definitely moves this summer. It's all going to depend on what Dortmund are looking for him. Again, I'll repeat what I said. If he ends up going for 120 million, 140 million, all in, or add-ons, or whatever way it works out, I really, I'd hold Liverpool highly accountable for that, because I think there's no doubt about it that the player wants to come and play for Liverpool. But at the same time, if City go in and put up to 150, which I even think is unlikely for them, it's going to be hard for the player to say no with the wages he'd be offered and the chance to play with Haaland. I know, who knows what's coming over the hill for Man City, but you can bet your bollocks that any player that signs for them now and the next couple of years, there's going to be get out of jail clauses all over the place there with them, with all this stuff that's coming down the line. That's what they're going to be looking for, those having into the contract. So it's hard to know. We've seen this before. We've done this dance. It's crazy that this isn't even the fucking silliest thing that Liverpool have done. I was literally only laughing to myself really that we literally released an apology on the club's website to Southampton for trying to sign Virgil van Dijk. And I can guarantee you that'll never ever happen again.
Yeah. That'll
never happen again in the history of football. And we seen they learned massively from that because the way we did business going forward there was exemplary. So I think it's a waiting game now. I'm not going to sit here pulling my hair out for the next 3 months because there's little or fuck all I can do to impact it. I was up the wall last week because it's been a shit show of a season, and that was always a precursor. We always kind of like after the City, the Charity Shield game, we thought we were going to kick on, but we've looked out our arse from game week 1. Let's be honest, against Fulham, we have. Being truthfully honest, we've looked down our arse. I don't think that's a stretch to say otherwise. There was a few results dangled in there where you think, right, well, we might fucking sneak top 4 and we'll be grand, but it's gone horribly wrong. And the reason we say that is, yeah, we kind of wrote the season off in order to bring this fella in, and then we're out before the race even starts. So that's why I was up the wall. But look, Bellingham is just a name. I said that to you last week. If you're putting an ex-player on a pedestal for 2 years and then you're not signing them, fans are going to get annoyed, no matter how rational they are. People would say, oh, I'm a grown-up, I don't worry about those things. But you probably do. We just don't moan about them on the internet. But I can guarantee you that it's annoying you. Definitely. I can guarantee you that it's annoying you.
I think it's fair to say it's annoying people, especially at the price you're talking about.
Yeah,
I think the price is the thing. You know, you know, if Liverpool went in and put in 120 million quid, right, and Man City done it, and he went to Man City, you go, what more can you do unless you kidnap him? You know what I mean? You just can't. Or he goes to Real Madrid, or he goes anywhere if Liverpool are willing to do what they're meant to do. But I think that where you and others and everybody, I think, was annoyed over during the week was, if the money is 120 million euros, Liverpool should be financing that without an issue. Simple as. You know what I mean? But look, moving away from Butterpants says Gravenberch is a great prospect. I'd love to see him at LFC. Now, he was linked with Liverpool before he went to Bayern Munich. He goes to Bayern Munich for about £25 million, I think. Hasn't really featured, hasn't really got in there. His name has come back up again. Now, we're going to get a couple of names, and we're going to talk about a couple of names here tonight. Now, before we do, we don't know anything about these players, whether they're going to sign for Liverpool, not sign for them, whether we've been in for them, talked about them, nothing. We won't pretend to know, we never will. We'll just talk about them because their names are out there. But Emma, Gravenberch, you know, I think he was looked at by Liverpool. I would be surprised if he wasn't before he moved to Bayern Munich, because he was brilliant for Ajax. Like, he's a brilliant player. Like, anytime I seen him play, I thought, proper player, this fella. And when I seen 25 million, I was like, fucking, that's a snip. But it hasn't really worked for him. He's 20 years of age. I think it might be about 20 years of age. The talk is it could be somewhere around the £40 million mark, because it hasn't happened at Bayern for him. And we spoke last week about Gravenberch and McAllister, whoever it might be. They supplement what will be our main midfield signing. But forgetting everything else, Ryan Gravenberch to Liverpool at that price, is he something you would do?
Absolutely. I don't know a whole lot about him. I've watched a few videos. I've seen a couple of the Ajax games, but I mean, it's very hard to get footage of him this year. I think he's only averaged about 20 minutes a game, 333 minutes or something in 18 games. But like, it's not like he's going in to try and get into a midfield at Brighton or somewhere like that. You've got Joshua Kimmich and Goretzka ahead of you in the team, so it's going to be hard to break into that. And I think even Musiala is probably getting a little bit more playing time than Gravenberch is. But he was highly touted before going to and linked to us. There's a picture of him in the Liverpool jersey and all that kind of stuff from wherever. And that immediately means he's going to sign for us, of course.
Yeah.
But he's young. He can play any of the positions. He can play a 6, an 8, even a 10 is the position. But his main position is a 6. And I think I've been screaming out since last summer, possibly last January, that we needed the main midfield that I think that we need as a 6 is somebody to rival or rotate Fabinho, and I think he could be the perfect understudy to Fabinho. He's not dissimilar in stature to Fabinho, and for his age, he suits our model perfectly. I think other people have mentioned Paulinho. I think he might be slightly on the older side, 27, 28. I think to get Gravenberch now for that price is probably even below where our sweet. I think our sweet spot was probably around 35, 40, 3 or 4 years ago. It's probably around 50, 60 now. So to get someone of his talent for that low, you kind of nearly take your hand off. I think somebody else said in the chat there earlier on, if we get Gravenberch, you may say goodbye to Bellingham. I don't think so. I think they're two completely different players, two completely different positions.
There's you never walk alone 97 says for 35 to 40 he's an absolute steal. He's a fantastic player. We'll try one like Klopp. It's been quoted up 25 million, but Bayern will probably want a bit more, says Chris. Mr. Sinclair reckons he's a bit more box to box, not a 6. He reckons.
Yeah, whenever I've seen him, he was box to box. So,
yeah. But I think what happens at Ajax in particular is those midfielders can play anywhere. You know, like they can go and play in a 6, they can go and play in an 8, play in a 10, they can play, like that's the way they're brought up.
Players at Ajax can play right back, left back, anywhere.
But that's what I'm saying. If you're centre midfield, you know, Frankie de Jong could definitely go and play at the base of midfield, but he could also play an 8 and most definitely could play a 10. It's just where you put him. I think I get where you're coming from with the whole defensive midfielder thing, because everyone has this feeling and issue over Fabinho at the minute. And I think it's probably fair to have one. But I think, you know, my point on this is that when you bring a midfielder in, I want the midfielder to come in, and I don't want to argue if he's a 6 or 8 or 10. I want to know what the fuck he is, and I want him to go in there and do it. I don't want, Klopp will do this to him. I don't want Klopp to do anything. I want Klopp to leave him the fuck alone, put him into position and play with Liverpool. That's what I want, right? I'm all for players, and they go here and they might do this and they might do that. When you're good and you're flying and you have options. Right now we don't. We need players to go in there and go, listen, you were absolute dirt last season. This is how it's done. This fella goes in and does this, or this. 3 of them and we're good. So I'm not against Gravenberch. I think the age profile, the price, the experience he has with Ajax, I think the thing at Bayern might help him actually, you know, kind of level him off a little bit. He probably kind of went, wow, Bayern, and I'm 20 years of age, probably level him off a bit. But when he comes into Liverpool, if Liverpool are signing him and saying he's an 8, play him as a fucking 8 or play him as a 6. I think to a certain point we have to stop doing this, or we can do this, this and this. Now we need players to come in and just go, that's your position. Seany, Ryan Gravenberch, big, strong, can dribble, can play ball, can score a goal. He can do everything, in fairness to him. His star has fallen, like Chris says, and that's probably what attracts Liverpool as well. But at that sort of money, I'll put it this way, Seany, we were signing him 12 months ago, that sort of money, he'd be going fucking great. Does anything change now?
No, it doesn't. Look, I wouldn't be put off with his struggles at Bayern either, because it's become a bit of a graveyard for players down there. Lately, Bayern are a bit of a mess at the moment. I know they show up and they win the Bundesliga every year, but it doesn't seem to be all going too well there. Wizard nailed it in the chat with Gravenberch. Gravenberch reminds me of Pogba when he was at Juventus. Don't get me wrong, I know it's gone horribly wrong for Pogba for a myriad of reasons, but in terms of talent, there hasn't been many more talented footballers around than Pogba in the last 10 years. And Gravenberch, when I was watching him at Ajax, was like, fucking hell, he has everything. He's legs, he's pace, he's skillful, he's great with the ball, he's scoring all sorts of goals, headers from range, brilliant with the ball. He looked like a ready-made package, and it looked like it was really the next one coming off the line of the Ajax. And when Bayern signed him last year, you were like, fucking hell, that's a brilliant deal. Like, it was so. Look, if there is something in it, I think Gravenberch is exactly sort of what we need at the moment. It's a big presence in there. I agree. I 100% understand what you're saying in terms of we just need specialist players to go in and play in their specialist positions. But Klopp likes a player to be a little bit versatile, and that's exactly what he is. This has been kind of going on now for a while, the talk around Gravenberch. So it wouldn't surprise me. One thing we never commented on what Klopp said in the press conference the other day is he said that he actually came out and said that we're looking at around 12 midfielders. I'm hoping we can sign some of them. I hope. I think that was kind of in jest, like a sort of relax his big children sort of fucking way, like, But Gravenberch, I'd have absolutely no I'd have no quarrels about bringing him to Liverpool. The fact is, we're not gonna be the only club in from if that's the reported price. So hopefully the groundwork is done. So look, Klopp turns around and goes, we're gonna probably sign players in this window who you probably didn't think were brilliant beforehand, but you look back and say, they were. And I think that's really what Liverpool need to get back to, what got us to the dance here, because going out and splashing money on big signings hasn't really worked for us. Signing the players nobody really looked at, saying, for example, Mane and Salah, and getting them before they explode. I think probably revitalising this lad's career is a brilliant move, because if he does hit it off, what's he, 20? He's in the same sort of bracket as Bellingham is. 5-6 good years at Liverpool, and Real Madrid will be looking at someone like him. Now, if we're winning titles and competing regularly in Champions League, you won't have that issue, which we haven't had of late. And that's the level you want to get back to. So being clever again in the window is as important as anything else, as expending X amount of money. If you can get Gravenberch for the right price, I don't give a bollocks if he's not Prem ready, because I think so much is made of that Prem ready shy. Because you'd happily have McAllister and Soicedo from Brighton, who are only in the league a wet day and are ripping her up. So
Bellingham's never played in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'd rather us be the club taking the gamble and bringing these lads in than being the one getting rolled by the likes of Brightons and whoever else. For me, Gravenberch is a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer. I'm signing him before Mount or Gallagher or any of the rest of them. There's work to be done with the home ground, but that obviously that can be fucking sorted out, of course. So let's see if there's legs in it. It appears that there is, because it's something there's kind of been whispers of it for a long time, and fucking Burger Head Pierce hasn't poured cold water on it yet, so there is that. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out.
Paul Giovanni says FSG are looking for more investment to help with transfers and keep Liverpool competitive, according to David Ornstein. Here we go again. Please, for the love of Jesus, please stop listening to these people. Honestly, like I guarantee, like they'll have another story out in 2 days how Liverpool are going to invest heavily in the summer, and then they'll have another story 2 days later where it's going to be Liverpool mightn't be able to compete for this. Stop, please. I'm begging you to stop listening to these people, because honestly, they tell you one thing, then one day somebody else backs them up 24 hours later, and 24 hours after that it's a completely different fucking story. Like, honestly, it absolutely, it's mental to me how people still take these people's word as gospel. I just cannot get over it. This is the guy that told you in November Liverpool were for sale. They were for sale, that was it. And within 40 hours he was I was kind of saying this. Well, what were you fucking saying? It does me fucking head in. So I'll tell you what, no, actually, don't stop reading it. I'm not putting it up on that screen anymore. How does that sound? Because it's absolutely mental. Absolutely mental. Gravenberch is in there. You're going to get name after name after name, right? But the other one is McAllister off Brighton. Rumoured around 60 million quid. And that seems a bit low for me. I'm going to be honest with you. It seems a bit low for me. But, Emma, is he a player you would take? And do you see anything in this? My only thought on this was Brighton probably don't want to let both of them players go this summer. They've signed Soicedo to a new deal. So they probably think if one of them wants to go, McAllister's the one we're going to let go. He's won a World Cup. He probably has more reason to go into Brighton and go, listen, I just want I need to move to a bigger club. I've won a World Cup. This is me chance. Saicedo did that in January, but Saicedo's doing that off a good season in the Premier League, a half-ish decent World Cup when he's with Ecuador. But, McAllister probably has more weight behind that sort of request. Is there anything in this for you? Or is it just another name? And most importantly, would you take him at Liverpool beside Ryan Gravenberch and Jude Bellingham?
Yeah, look,
I've
I'd
asked that in
absolutely
jest, by the
take
way, for anyone whose heads fall off.
you'd absolutely take him at Liverpool. I think 60 million, unless there's some sort of an agreement in his contract, I think that's probably very low, given experience in the Premier League and given the fact that he's won a World Cup. I think if you see him, or if there's an effort to bring him in, that you might see more players leave Liverpool or sold. I think you might see. I don't want to say Elliott. I think we'll hold on to Elliott, but I think you might see. I can't think of his fucking name now. Carvalho, either sold or sent out on a 2-year loan or something.
If you get a McAllister type,
yeah, I think he's more. Look, I'm thinking of what formation. If we're going to stick with the 4-3-3, do you know what I mean? He probably fills a role that maybe Elliott would fill at the moment in that three. But yeah, a fantastic player. Take him all day long, but I think 60 is very low. If we're offered him for 60, I'd take him straight away.
Okay.
I just think it's gonna probably be closer to the Caicedo money for him as well, unless there's something in his contract.
Okay. And yeah, unless there is something in there and some sort of clause, because I think if you're looking for 80 to 100 for Caicedo, I don't think McAllister is far off that on the evidence of the football he plays and how important he is for Brighton. But
how long is his contract? Did he not only sign a contract last year?
I think he signed a contract last January. Yeah, because wasn't when we linked with him, was it last? He was
due to be free this summer, I thought.
Yeah, or January, and he signed a new until 2026, I think. But then again, when they signed these deals, I think Caicedo signed the deal, and there's definitely something in there that if a team comes in or X amount, like if a certain ranked team comes in at this amount, he can go. There's definitely something, but it might be after next summer that he can do it. There's a time limit on it. Shawnee, McAllister.
There's an article there. So, December 2022, to say that the club have agreed a contract extension with him last October. So October to June 2025.
Yeah. I remember it being either just before January or just after the summer transfer window. But Shawnee, we spoke about McAllister and Mount, them sort of players, and we were saying to ourselves they should supplement what the real big deal is. But if we're not doing Jude Bellingham, you do have to look at alternatives as to what they're going to do in midfield. Where does McAllister rank for you? And if he comes in, what sort of role do you want to see him play? Does he improve us? And if so, how much?
Absolutely, if fucking improves us, let's be honest. It wouldn't be hard to improve that.
No, I know. Well, that's when I say improve us, I don't want you to think Oxen and that's. I'm thinking what's there already. What does he?
Yeah. I think McAllister is a no-brainer. He lit the World Cup. He lit the World Cup up. I think if you are looking at the World Cup and you are thinking if you didn't know anything about football, you're saying, that's the fella who was 100 million.
He comes in on the second game, doesn't he? They're beating the first
game. He didn't play the first game, I don't think.
He didn't play the first game.
He comes in on the second game. He made a raft of changes,
Yeah. Look, McAllister was brilliant before the World Cup. He's brilliant since he came in. He's Argentinian, so I'd say Keith probably knows what his daily calorie intake is, and he's been going on about him for years, in fairness. And he's a really good player, McAllister. Again, I don't think him and Caicedo are signing contracts at Brighton if there's no sort of get out clause, and that's probably just the way. And again, a bit like Dortmund, but on a lesser scale, that's their model. So Brighton are probably thinking, right, it's a prime time to sell this fella now, and they probably have his list as long as your arm players that they're going to pick up for 8, 9, 10 million and repeat the process. Like, I watched them yesterday, and that lad in CISO that they brought off the bench, like, fucking different gravy. I'm like, where are they getting these from? Their operation is perfect. They're up there with the best run football clubs in Europe at the moment. And you kind of look at them with a little bit of envy because they're doing those smart deals. McAllister and Soiseda, they're two brilliant players. If you could do some sort of package deal to bring Brout to them in, I'd say they'd solve most of their problems, to be honest with you. But it's going to cost a lot of money. I can't see them selling both of them in the summer, which makes me believe that there's something in this McAllister one, because with Soiseda just recently signing a deal, he's maybe looking to stay maybe for another year on bigger wages.
I'd say any clause kicks in for the summer of 24.
Yeah, and from the bits I've heard from people, it's like Brighton want this one done early. They don't want this to drag on through to July, August, because they've obviously got someone earmarked. If we're being clever, we should try now looking at how they're trying to fucking replace him when we picking him.
And just going to get him instead.
You know, I think McAllister is a brilliant player for me. He can do it all. It's not sort of like a Keita where you're kind of wondering what he does. He gets around. He's brilliant on the ball. He has an eye for goal. He's great in the tackle. It's a no-brainer. Gav, I'll be quick on naming the players who wouldn't improve Liverpool this summer. And if the price is right with McAllister, it'll definitely make sense. If 16 million is being touted, then Jesus, you got to be all over it, because it's far better value than paying 80-90 million for a Declan Rice, who I think is a good player. So yeah, let's see. It's another one that there seems to be consistent links to it as well, but we just don't fucking know.
No, we don't
honestly
know. But we're not here to tell anyone we do know. But the thing is, there was another interesting thing that came out with Klopp, and he said, like, you know, he acknowledges that the season hasn't been good. He acknowledges that we haven't been good enough. But he also says in the press conference, basically, look, I'm absolutely behind the idea that we can, you know, finish out this season and make moves in the transfer and be back and ready. And like he basically said, like, Jesus, if we went on this season alone and we were a bit rash in it, there'd be 12 players I'd be just getting rid of. You know, get rid of them all because they've all been poor. And he's well. And look, a lot of people claim it being naivety, and it may show to be that. But he's basically trying to say, look, yes, it's bad, but I kind of read off him that he feels that if he gets 3 or 4 in to just change it up, he feels that this, because he's absolutely adamant that come the start of the season we'd be ready to go again, we'd be ready to compete, we'd be ready to be, basically no one will like to play against us. That was the words he used. And I think the 3 or 4 coming in will do that. You know, I think it's a bit stale. I think players are a bit comfortable. And, you know, Ox and Keita out and say a McAllister and a Gravenberch in, immediately get your players on the pitch, 1. And 2, that in turn, that improves you. So I think what Klopp is probably looking at is saying, yeah, we would love to do this and we would love to do that, but what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that players that improve us are on the pitch playing, and it also gives players that are there to kind of, you know, I might get a fucking game here, because at the end of the day, Fabinho's being poor this season, but bar the 3-week period, he's fucking playing every week. Yeah. Bar the period where we get helped off against Brighton, right up until I think we get knocked out of the cup by Brighton, and maybe a bit after that, he wasn't seen. Henderson the same, but they're playing every game since. Do you know what I mean? So the comfort zone is there. I think that's where Klopp is looking for me. It's as big as the names and the money is. I think he wants to rejuvenate what's there already, because he knows he can't, and he said it. He can't go and get rid of them all.
I think it was interesting that you saw, I'm not going to say a resurgence, but a return to some sort of form from Fabinho after Bajcetic came in and went on a run of games. And Fabinho wasn't actually getting into the side. He came back and looked a little bit more like his old self, not fully back. He started getting yellow cards. That's when you kind of knew, yeah, he's kind of has that little bit of niggle back in him. And I think you're right. I think somebody coming in that can, maybe Fabinho goes 5-6 games without getting a game, and then he has to fight to get back into the team. we're in a position where we can nearly pick our strongest starting 11. It shouldn't be like that. A couple of years ago, it wasn't like that. You didn't know who was going to start in what positions. And I think it needs to go back to having a little bit more competition for places in the team, because it's not a complacency on purpose. This stuff can happen subconsciously, that I know I'm getting into the team. I'm starting on Saturday. I just know I am. There's no who else going to start over me, and that kind of can weigh on players' shoulders as well.
And Gav, that's what I think. I think Klopp's in it. I think this is where, like, this is another part of the whole thing that annoys me, is that, like, the word is thrown around, and I know people don't like it, like, but, like, they sort of neglected it now to the extent where, like, people's going on about Klopp and what he can and can't do. One thing he hasn't done in his career and is rebuilt the team. He's never rebuilt the team. He didn't do it at Dortmund because I don't think he got the chance really at Dortmund. And if he's not back at Liverpool, you can't say that he's been given the chance to rebuild this team either. And it's kind of gone from where, in the best case scenario, this should never be a rebuild. If things are done, it's a topping up process. Like Ferguson. Ferguson was at United for 20 odd years, and he probably only rebuilt the team really once. After that, it was only ever just throwing one player on top at the end of the year. For example, you throw in a Van Nistelrooy, you throw in a Varane, you throw in a Berbatov. You're kind of just topping up what you have and keeping it going, was refreshing generally, like gradually. Whereas we've kind of left this now, and there's a massive fucking gaping hole. And what's happening is you're papering over cracks until you get it sorted. Now, it's got to be Bellingham or no Bellingham. It's got to be sorted this summer. Because if it's not sorted this summer and you leave yourself one short, you're going to be going into the next year going, well, Thiago's gone now, Henderson's a year older, and so's a couple of lads at the back. And I need a new centre-half all of a sudden. I need another starting centre-half. And that's what's kind of, this is kind of what backed us into the corner, where it's not like you're just plucking a side off from Brighton and he's going into a Liverpool team that's fully operational and firing all cylinders. We need someone to come in and rejuvenate the lads that we already have there. Yeah. This is what I meant last week by saying no other three without Bellingham does that. Bellingham is a spearhead. He's the type of player you can build your future around. And that's what sort of we need to be doing, but doing it in a clever way. We've left ourselves way too fucking much work to do now that it's got to be done. It's got to be done. But my worry is that as Liverpool fans, I don't think, going off beaten track here a little bit, but it is related. As a Liverpool fan, FSG have been very good custodians of Liverpool Football Club, right? They've put us in a spot where we were back at the top table. We find ourselves out of it now, maybe because of whatever's gone on there. Maybe their mismanagement or Klopp not doing what he needed to do. But I don't think their objective aligns with ours. I don't think their incessant want to win and be champions is in line with ours. They're happy with the top four and being at the top four of Europe and the money that brings. Now, we're out at there, right? We're our top four now. We're not going to get it. We've left ourselves way too much to do. As bad as Spurs or Newcastle may be, it's just not going to happen. We need to win all of our games and hope for snookers in other course. And I just can't see it happening. But the other side of it is, it's almost guaranteed that we're in that Champions League the year after with the new. And lads, I've looked into this extensively, and it basically pretty much guarantees we're in the off chance that fucking Bayern Munich or Real Madrid finish outside Champions League spots next year in their respective leagues and we don't get top four, we might not make it in. But we're almost guaranteed to be in there. And that's what worries me, because the investment to meet their objective is not even a necessity, because coming down the line, it's
taking another year off, like, and we'll be back in it anyway.
Exactly, Gav. And that's the scariest part to me, that I'm 100% on board with what yourself and Keith were saying last week, that we need major surgery, major investment in the summer. But we need
it's only this summer.
But we need it. We need it because we want to win. We want to be winning trophies. They don't necessarily need it, because look, if fucking give him give him the fucking 100 million and let him sell what he needs to sell there, and it'll fucking even out at maybe a 50 million outlay over with players going in and out, whatever. I know net spend is a lot of bollocks. It's a fallacy. It's not real. But they will look like that, where it doesn't look like a window that's too dissimilar to years gone by with the level of investment that they put in. And they're going to get that return, because we're nearly... you can look into it yourselves. I'm not joking you. We're nearly guaranteed to be in there.
Yeah, no, Butter Pants agrees. He says we will be in.
Yeah, no. and that's the thing, because there's very few clubs in the world that their ethos is win. Madrid is to win, all right? Win at all costs. If Ancelotti is the greatest manager in their history, if they fail to win a La Liga or a Champions League this year, they might fuck him out and just refresh. Barcelona, the very same. Chelsea, their mantra at the moment is mental because of Bowley. But up until Bowley, with Abramovich, it was like, you're getting 2 or 3 years, and if you win a league in your first year, in your second year, and you're stinky in your third year, you're gone. Because I want someone in who's going to win. And they'll roll the dice until they do win, and then they'll celebrate their little wins. Man City is, here, fucking do whatever you want. We've all know what they've done. They've cheated the system, but with the idea of winning. Manchester United are in the exact same boat as theirs, where their owners are going, we're in the top 4. That's goosey. Look at when United ended up out of Champions League. They were the summers that they spent the most money, because they were like, we need to get fucking back in there now.
Yeah, they invested to try to sort it out.
We're almost near enough, and that frightens the bollocks out of me, Gav, because to be honest with you, although FSG have been good custodians, I think we're at the end of the cycle with them. They've taken us to as far as they can take us in terms of being champions, and because their model at the moment is not one that's sustainable if you want to be at the top, challenging for major honours time after time. People have told us in the last few, I probably said, yeah, they always needed to change the model. If they don't get serious in this summer, then that's my worry, because again, we could have another year of this shite, and we'll end up in the Champions League on a technicality.
But you see, it can't, because, right, like you said earlier, Liverpool, I think Liverpool have done quite well in the forward positions to do what you said. Add one in. We haven't gone, we need 3 forwards in a thing, right? They've added in Diaz because they needed to do it. They added in Darwin Núñez because they needed to do it. And they've added in Gakpo because they needed to do it. All right? And that's absolutely fine. Defensively, they're probably one signing behind for me. And that'll probably have to happen in the summer. But if you come out this summer with a new centre half, and maybe something at right back if something can be done, but you still have to give the other young lad, his name escapes me now, the Scottish lad, it's gone. Ramsey, sorry. If you give him a chance to come back, because he looks like he's being, pour out, and you're not coming back until everything's right, you have to give him a chance as well. So in defence, you're probably one off. Midfield is not 3 midfielders. Midfield is 3 midfielders in the next 6 months. In the next 12 months, it's probably 5 midfielders. Because no matter what you say, right, James Milner's not going to last forever. Could possibly go this summer, will definitely be gone the year after. I have no problem with getting another year. People go mad over it. He comes in every now and then. He should probably appear in about 15 games a season for me, right? Fine. Jordan Henderson, you can see the injuries tolling up. You can see he can't do 3 games in a week. And when you're successful, you need players that play 3 games a week. No matter how hard it is, they go and they go and they go, right? You've got Fabinho, who currently is in this situation where I think his legs have gone. I think you see sports in him, and then it just goes again, right? You've got Elliott, who I think is a great prospect. I think he's suffered a lot because of what's gone on. But if you rejuvenate, I think he benefits massively. Curtis Jones is a bit of an enigma for me. I don't know what to think of him. I really don't. And I'm not going to go too harsh or too high on him. I don't know. Boy, Chettage is a fabulous footballer, but he's still 18 years of age, right? You go through it, and when you go through Thiago's been available for 75% of Liverpool games since he's arrived at the club, which is phenomenal, right, when you think about it, right? But when he goes down, it hurts us massively. So you show how big a player he is. So if you bring in 3 this summer, you're going into next summer going, not sure on Henderson, Milner, Fabinho, Jones, maybe Thiago because of his age, and he's been injured again twice this season. Now you have to do another 3, at least. So it's not. I know where you're coming from with they mightn't do it for a year and then they get back in the Champions League and everything's rosy again. But that only lasts you so long, and the investment has to be there. It has to be there, and it should be Bellingham if the price is what we think the price is. I agree. I think you should be able to do Bellingham, Gravenberch, and McAllister together. No qualms about it. You should be able to do it because that's your priority. Now, next season could come and you go, we're going to have to go with Thiago for another season because we need a defender, right? But at least you're not going into it going, that is just hollow in there. It's hollow in there, and that's what it is at the minute. And that's why I keep going back to players that should play in that position, because that's what holds us back at times where we go, I know it's grand because he can kind of slot in there and he can kind of slot in there and he can kind of do fuck all, let's be honest about it, because they've all kind of tried to do something and it hasn't worked. So with regards to the investment, it's a huge summer. We've said it summer on summer, but it really is now. It's a huge summer where the club invests massively in this midfield, right, to right some wrongs that are there. And when we get to next year, right, you probably have to sell A, B and C for a combined 60 million quid, which is, you probably think you won't get that, but you might. And you go, right, that's 60 million in the pot, them 3 are gone. We're bringing in 3 and we're spending fucking 120, right? But the reason you only spend 120 is because the 3 you've signed this summer are good enough to say they're going to be there 3 or 4 years or 5 years and they're going to play and they're going to be available for you. So that's what they need to balance up. But at the end of the day, there's no way around spending money this summer. There's simply no way around it. And if we come out with this summer, for me, where Klopp has got 3 midfielders and they've cost a combined 80 million quid, you're looking for them to do miracles again, right? And they've cost 80 million quid for a reason. Because nowadays, 3 midfielders cost you 200 million quid. Simple as. Whatever way you want to fucking dress it up, that's the way it is. But look, it's going to rumble on. It's going to go on and on and on, and we'll have to wait and see. But announcement of signings won't happen right now. But the names, the likes of Gravenberch and McAllister, if there's anything in them, which I don't know if there is, they're very good links to have. But you have to make sure there has to be 3. And Gravenberch, McAllister, and if it's a Bellingham or whoever else, they're going to be with you for 5 years. So they give you the insurance to go and do other stuff next season. But no matter whether you're in the Champions League by default for the next 5 years, you have to sort something now. Not only for now, but in the summer, next summer, and the summer after that possibly. And that's where they're going to be left with, because other parts of the
it's all well and good being in it, but if you can't compete in it, that's a problem.
Well, that's the thing, and players. But the thing is, players aren't going to show up at Liverpool. What I'm saying, but they're not going to show up at Liverpool and go, oh yeah, I'm McAllister, I won a World Cup, I'm going to Liverpool. They've told me though that they're not going to really bother their bollocks trying to win anything because they're not going to. He's not going to play for them. He's not going to play for you. He's going to play for Liverpool because Liverpool are going to say to him, we're going to bring in this, this and this. This is our plan. We want to win this, this and this, and we're going to go for it. Then he'd sign for you. But he's not going to sign for you if he thinks you're just going to knock body your bollocks. Just get your 4th place and wander around fucking Europe every year. Players want to win things. They go to these clubs to win things, and it's up to the club to reimburse this player with ambition. That's it. There's no other doubt about it. Leeds tomorrow night, quickly before we go.
7-0.
7-0.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans going, not much to play for. Might take a 2-1 defeat here because Everton can be fucked. Should be winning this game. Should be winning. I think it's a huge game. Ellen Road. I've done a preview with Joe Wayman, and I was saying to Joe, I wouldn't be surprised with any result really, because I can't gauge Liverpool. It's so hard to gauge them on a week-to-week basis. But are we winning this one, Shawnee?
I don't know, Gav.
No, it's very hard.
I don't know. Yeah, Ellen Road is a tough place to go when you're in form. Monday night when you could kind of say results probably went away this weekend in terms of if they got a positive result, they would be huge for them. We've been fucking desperate away from home this year.
3 wins
honestly,
all season.
I'd imagine we're near enough relegation.
We've the fourth worst away record in the league, I think.
Yeah, which is telling, because if we had a half decent away record, we'd be comfortably in the top 4 spots. But
I think Southampton have a better away record.
Yeah, I think we win 15-0 tomorrow because Diaz is back.
Well, Kevin Sullivan says we win 7-0 in the next 3 games, we're fucked because we won't need to sign any players. So that's the thing as well. Emma, are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, but I don't look forward to games anymore. No, it will be tough. Ellen Road is always hopping. But what I will say is that the travelling cop have been loud all season. If Anfield hasn't, let's just say, the travelling support are always nice and loud. It's going to be tough. I think we win it by the odd goal.
Yeah, I had us down for
an
odd goal.
I think there might be, when I say an odd goal, like I'm talking probably 3-2 or something. There's going to be goal. There's going to be goal. I think there's going to be goals in it, which is probably the kibosh. It'll probably be 1-0 to Liverpool.
Do you know what I'd like to see, Gav? I'd like to check my phone at 7 o'clock tomorrow and go, fucking it, what's he gone with there?
Yeah, but you say this all the time and it never happens.
Something different. But we won't know until he fucking tries it.
But we know it's not going to happen. Like, Shawnee, you must have said this to me now about a dozen times this season.
I know.
I'd love to see lads an hour before kick-off, and it never happens.
I'd love to see a Carabao Cup team. Like, fucking just go mad, do something. I want to see something different. I do. Because I'm sick of watching the show we've been saved this year. It's
I believe
forget about transfers to football.
Alison is a doubt. Diaz, it looks like he could be on the bench.
Thiago's back, of course. Didn't train for 2 days this week.
Yeah, there's a few people there. TLLFC says 2-1 to Liverpool. You never walk alone. 97 has 2-1. Darwinian Chimp says 3-0 win, he reckons. He or she, I'm not too sure. 6-0 as not to win quarter 7-0 course, says the Reclaimer. Can we please not just go down 1-0 after 10 minutes, please, for the love of God, says Jake.
Yeah,
he also
that'd
says
be nice.
We've less away points than Southampton and Leicester. Dermot says 2-0 to Liverpool, Nunes and Salah on the score sheet. Look, we don't have a chance of getting top 4. Even if we win all our games. How many games we left?
9.
If we win on 9 games, that would give us 71 points, I think. Right? Newcastle are currently sitting on 56, I think. Right?
Yeah.
So you'd need Newcastle to take 16 from the last 9. It has to be a capitulation. And United aren't going to do that either. United on 59, I think, with 8 to play. So we aren't getting top 4. So I know where you're coming from, Shawnee, with just try something different. Let's have a bit of a fucking laugh between now and the end of the season. But I doubt you will see that. Because what can he do? He still plays the same players. He still has the same players available to him. Thiago being back is good because he's nice to watch. But Cahill says 2-2. Chris Brack has 2-1. Bonkers has 3-1. Lad, he'd love to see Carvalho play. I think there's an awful lot made about him. I don't think he goes anywhere in the summer. I think you might see a bit more of him next season. We've done that a bit with players where you see them, then you don't, and then they appear back up. But look, it's a game.
Elliot should be in the same position.
Yes,
and he's been forced into so many.
Yeah, and Elliot, you might see Elliot play. I'd like to see him play because I like watching Elliot play. 1-1 says G10, 3-1 says Matt Dickinson. But look, it's a game tomorrow night. It's one way you can kind of sit back and relax and watch it. Last question before we go. I kept it. It was from Sass Copboy, of course, Matt from this parish, and he asked this. He says, Gav, who would you guys like from the relegation threatened teams? I can see us getting at least one player from a dropped team or a team that goes down.
Let me have a look.
Now, it all depends who you think is going down. Me and Kev done a show on Bookmakers last week. I think we had Forest, Bournemouth, Southampton going down, but Bournemouth are just hanging around White Hart Lane, getting 3 points and stuff. So they're actually 6 points away from everything. They're 6 points better off, away from the drop zone. Depends who you have going down. First of all, here's actually one question: are Everton going down, Shawnee?
No. Actually, I'm looking at that fixtures now. It's fairly hardy for them.
Yeah, but I think
they play Palace away, Newcastle, then Leicester away, who are a bit of a basket case at the moment. Then they've Brighton away, then they've City at home, then they've Wolves away, who picked up a bit of form, and then it's gone to that last game. They play Bournemouth on the last game of the season, and I think if they're in a position where getting a result on that day means they stay up, then I think they'll stay up. I sound like the minister for stating the obvious there, but I watched Forest today and are hopeless. Southampton are poison as well. I think
Forest, of course, come to Anfield next Saturday.
Yeah. Leicester, I don't know. Leicester's a mad one.
But you can't really judge Leicester off the back of playing City. You know what I mean?
Look, it's. I'll say one thing. Although we're not really involved at either end, it's in terms of from being a neutral from what I've been for pretty much all of this season. Because to be honest with you, I couldn't give a rat's who wins the league. If it's City or Arsenal, I could live with either. To be honest, although I think Arsenal have well and truly shit the bed in giving up two goal leads in a row against City. We know what it's like. It's soul destroying. I'll caveat that by saying I'd imagine I speak for all 504 of us here that I don't miss that fucking agonising watching the first 20 minutes.
2-0 up after 8 minutes every
watching
week.
Man City go 1-0 up after 80 seconds to a back to post happen every week to absolutely smash the gaff up.
Yeah.
When they score late winners. I thought it's nice to have a break from that, if anything. So thanks for that, lads, at least. Right, this is what I'll give you about everything. I think if everything now go down, I think they're fucked anyway because they're going to get hit major league next year in terms of a deduction. And I think that would actually be worse for them.
I don't think it'll be a deduction. I think it'll be a transfer ban for a year, which will mean they won't be able to sign anyone, and that squad is not staying up. Simple as that.
Yeah. No, I'd rely on Deutsch or whatever, but they're absolutely shy. And I don't even take pleasure in them from being that shy because we've been shy as well. Let's be honest. But if everything were to go down, it's a Sunderland job. Up. It's a Sunderland job.
Yeah, and that's not being like Liverpool fans
really
saying
bad.
That. I listen to Everton podcasts. I do every week. Right, I listen to the Blue Room every week, and they are of the opinion if Everton go down, they won't come back up, because the amount of money in that club that's owed for stadiums, to players' contracts that don't have clauses in them for relegation is absolutely colossal, right? Yeah. And already running averaging 130 million losses, I think, per year. It's absolutely unbelievable what will happen at that club if they go down. It's just savage. That 60 million parachute payment is you might as well be pissing up against the wall because it just won't put a dent in it. I think
to answer Matt's question though, Gav, just before to answer Matt's question, it'd either be Lavia or Bella-Kotchap from Southampton.
Okay. So you have,
and I actually think Walker Peters would be a very clever signing as well for Liverpool. Because he's English and he's versatile and he can play left or right back. And I think it could be a clever bit of business to bring him in. Again, I'd chalk down on that. Just the little clever ones that allow you to go big on the other ones. I think Walker Peters will be.
Yeah.
There's so many there.
There's a few at Southampton that are interesting.
As well,
they are
definitely a couple at Southampton.
Well, in the relegation thing now, I said I Bournemouth might go down, and they might still do. But looking at it now, I think it's between Everton and Leicester for the last place in the drop zone. I think Forest will go down. They've too many players that are just fucking don't know who they're playing with, and it's catching up on them. I think Southampton just can't. They get a win here and there, but then they get beaten 3 in a row, and they just can't keep it up. I think you can't judge Leicester off the whole Man City game, but they have got big games coming up, and the way I look at it is looking at Everton's squad, Leicester's squad. Leicester brought in a new manager. The fixtures they have, can Leicester take 2 more, 3 more points than Everton between now and the end of the season? My answer would be yes. especially on Everton's fixtures, because we say they play Newcastle at home. I think they play Newcastle away, maybe, and they've City at home, and then they've a couple of big ones in there, Palace, Brighton, but it's the home games. If they go a goal down, the places like I listed the Blue Room, and they were talking about going 2-1 down against Fulham the other day. The whole team just stopped, just went. We're not getting back in this game. Simple as. So I actually think they might go down, and the reason I want them, not the reason I want them to go down, but the reason that is the player I take is Onana off them. That's who I take off Everton, is Onana, the midfielder. He's a player. He's definitely a player. So that's who I go for.
They pay big money for him, but
yeah, but they'd be giving them away for fucking.
You look at Everton though, and it's just
come the end of the season.
You find yourself every week saying about Everton, right? A home game at home to Fulham or at home to who X team, they've got to win this or they're fucked, and they don't win them. Like they should have been beating Fulham as good as Fulham have been this year. They should have been going.
Fulham have lost 5 on the bounce going into that.
Exactly. This is an opportunity to play Fulham. We're out Mitrovic there, man. We're at home. Get it going a bit. I'm with you, Gav. Probably won't be long till I fucking swinging German Shepherds around by the ankles around the Leeds.
Remember, he was running the club last season. It was great. Yeah. But no, I think they're in major trouble with the fixtures that are there, and the fact that the home games, bar City, where you just go out and have a go and you might get something, are real pressure ones, and they're not showing up for them. And away from home, like if they go and get beaten at Palace this weekend, I think it's another one where a team around them has done them again, and it's like that all belief, I think, falls out of Everton, and their fans are a bit like that. I mean, any of I've listened to are just like, we gave it everything last season, but we got it in us again to keep going. Emma, who goes down for you? And if they go down, which player would you pick out of those players?
So I think Southampton are as good as gone, and we had that transfer show a few weeks ago, and I said Bella Kotchap and Kyle Walker-Peters. For Leicester, I don't know. I don't even know whether I take Madison, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Harvey Barnes has been mentioned a few times in the chat here as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Indeed, he might be worth a look for what we might need, but I think his injury record isn't great. Off Everton, the only one that I would take would possibly be Onana, or even that Patterson kid at right back.
Yeah, he's impressive. I've seen him.
He's quality. I think Everton do go down. I think Leicester probably have enough. I think Leicester probably score enough goals. They have enough goals in the team to try to stay up. So Onana and Patterson are the only thing I take off Everton. I wouldn't even begin to tell you how many players Nottingham Forest have, or even know who they are, to be able to try and take one. But I definitely wouldn't. So
I'll tell you who I take.
Walker-Peters.
I take the striker off Forest. Is it Brennan Johnson?
Brennan Johnson.
Yeah. I think he's a very, very good player. That's the only one I take. But if Everton go down, I think it's Onana. There's some great shouts from Southampton, but it's going to go to the wire. I think you're right, Sean. I think it might go to that last day. But I think
if Everton stay up, it could be on goal difference.
But I think if they stay up, like, I'm surprised some of these clubs haven't written a joint letter to the FA already, or the Premier League, saying what is going on with this. Like, they're literally going to stop us from staying in this league, and there's some financial issues here. So even if they do stay up, you can point to the time of process and how it's happening. That's just life.
I have one actually.
But I think if they go down, they'll either get a points deduction, which fucks them, or even worse, actually, I think might be a transfer ban, because that squad, trust me, is not staying up next season. Especially if the likes of Onana, Patterson, and one or two others go, I'm not staying here. Fuck that. I'm out of here.
You should sign Pickford, lasso him to the back of a horse and pull him around the cobblers on Concert Square until he's absolutely raw red, the fucking reprobate.
I wouldn't spend the money on him. Look, the rest of the week on the channel, tomorrow usually is winners and losers, but Liverpool are playing, so we'll have a full-time Reds. I know Kev and Chris are on that, and Matt may be on as well. Tuesday we'll do winners and losers. Wednesday we'll probably do a call-in show. Thursday we're bringing back Viewer's Voice. We get Matt to bring up a couple of topics, and we get a couple of guests on for that. Friday will be your your Premier League forecast. Liverpool then play Saturday, don't they, against Forest? Am I right? Nearly sure at 3 o'clock Saturday against Forest. I could be wrong. One of the
3 o'clock Saturday.
yeah, so we'll have a full-time Reds at 5 o'clock ish on Saturday, and back on Sunday with the Fatback 4. A lot of people have asked about the golf channel. Recording on Tuesday. I'm playing a couple of holes on my own where I'll probably just use one club and me putter, because I'm not going to use clubs that shouldn't be used on the green. I looks like I'm playing with the Club Pro down there, so we're going to have loads of fun with that. And then we're playing with a young fella. He's 14. He's playing off 4. He's won another competition in like monsoon weather at the week during the week. So we're going to try to do a video with him as well. So there's loads of recording going on from Tuesday. Please God, the weather's okay, and we keep getting those videos out. So subscribe to Bang Average Golf. And as I say, if you want to see us do stuff, let us know. We're bringing on guests now. We're bringing on all sorts of stuff. So let the mayhem begin. Michael Kilban with a super chat. Thanks for that. That goes to our charity. Kefram, Turam and McAllister should be top priorities. Doak needs to be coming off the bench for the remainder of the season. Seany Lawson fully endorses that. Ben Doak coming off the bench. Ben Doak should be starting in the middle of midfield as far as Seany's concerned for the rest of the season.
If Ali's out playing in goal tomorrow.
Yeah. You Never Walk Alone says, thanks lads for another fantastic show as always. Good to see Seany smiling today. Seany smiles every day, especially when he's with me, because he likes me, despite what all you pricks think. Anything else before we go, Seany?
A lot more cordial tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure if I like
it's almost like that Plunker fella's a bad apple.
I know, yeah. Scumbag, isn't
Nah, he's a legend. Oh, he loved me little clown and Damon and Alexis McAllister. No, it was a good show. I just can't fucking wait for this season to be over now, to be honest with you. I really can't.
And we're going over to watch We're going over to watch this show before the end of the season.
I'm looking forward to that, because
that's going to be a crack, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just going to be a load of drinking and going, Liverpool, I show you.
Look, listen,
for 3
when
days,
I think about it, like, I'm 40 years of age, and Liverpool have probably been shy for 75% of my life, so none of this should be new, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but no way to like experience it than just going to Liverpool with 5 lads and just going, they're shy, aren't they? And then just get another drink in, and then we just go home on a plane then on a Monday.
Exactly, yeah, 100%.
I'll ask Emmet now, but I've just been reminded. The charity, the link is in the description. I'm sure you're sick of hearing me saying it, but I'm not apologising. The link is in the description if you want to donate. Please do so if you can. If you can't, share it wherever you can on your social media, friends, family, colleagues, canteens, wherever you can, share it so people can just literally donate and help us with this. The golf day is fast approaching. We are looking for sponsorship for tee boxes, long drives, nearest the pin. If you want to donate, if you know any person that wants to donate or any company that wants to donate, they will obviously be, their names will be on the tee box on the day to say that they're sponsoring, and it would be brilliant. If you want to donate raffle prizes, you can do that. If you want to send us money and say there's 50 quid, buy 2 raffle prizes, we will absolutely do that for you. We have no problem going out and buying the prizes for you if you want it to be that way. LFC Daytrippers at gmail.com, and we will follow up immediately with you wherever you need. Or if you don't want to email us and you want to message Emma or Seany or me or anybody, the lads will get the message and pass it on to me, and trust me, I will drop everything when that email comes in or that message comes in. I'll make sure it's sorted, because like, the golf day is great crack and we'll have fun doing it, but raising the money on the day through sponsorships of all those things I've mentioned and raffle prizes, that's where all the money comes from on the day. Alright, the players pay to play golf on the day. All their money goes towards them playing and being fed afterwards, and giving them a couple of prizes for turning up and helping. They will buy raffle tickets. They'll do all the things to help us. But all the money that's raised on the day comes from people sponsoring the holes and long drive nearest the pin, and giving raffle prizes or donating towards the raffle prizes. And that's where we'll get the money from. So if you can, or you know anyone or any business that can, lfcdaytrippers at gmail.com, and we will do everything we can to make it as easy as possible for you to help us out on that day. Emma, anything else before we go?
No, all good. Just looking forward to, well, I know I joked earlier on saying I don't look forward to matches anymore, but I've been doing this since mid-80s. There's a match on the telly, I'm sitting in front of it, regardless of how good or how bad we are. So
We'll have a nice time watching it.
We'll get the win by the odd goal tomorrow night.
Good stuff. I'll leave you with this. Owen Burke reckons that Keith is up on the table blasting Leona Lewis at this very moment. There's a very good chance that is happening. Keith is probably up on the table blasting out Leona Lewis from his own mouth. He's not even listening to the CD. He's just doing it off his own head, because that's what he does. Keith just gets a song in his head and starts singing it. And when you tell him, listen, Keith, you're a bit loud there. Am I? Keith, the whole pub can hear you, and the sound system is playing full pelt here, and everyone can still hear you. But he loves it. He absolutely loves you. What a bloke to go out for a point with, by the way. He's absolutely brilliant. That has been the Fatback 4. Thanks to Seany, thanks to Emma, thanks to everyone in the chat. Anyone that listens afterwards, I hope you enjoy it. Give us a 5-star review. Yeah, talk to you soon. Over and out.